No one other than you can destroy this doubt, since you are omniscient and the Lord of all beings, while others, such as the sages, are not the Supreme Lord and have little knowledge, relatively speaking. The writers of scripture are not omniscient, but you, the Supreme Lord, are omniscient. Except for you, no one can destroy this doubt. Thus, by mercy or by your mercy, destroy my doubt completely. Prabhupada. Krishna is a perfect knower of past, present, and future. Now Arjuna wants to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. So what happens to a person who was embarked on, of course, we all know that the ultimate goal is to come to the point of Kevala Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti. But there are different pathways. There is a direct pathway, which I showed. Bhakti Mishra Karma, Karma Mishra Bhakti, and then Bhakti. That's one pathway. Then, otherwise, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and Bhakti. Pathway through Jnana. And then there is a further extension. Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Yoga, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, and then Bhakti. Which is what we saw in this chapter. Yes, third extension, third pathway. Okay, but all of them, the starting point is same, ending point is same. So what happens to someone who is unsuccessful while embarking on his path? No one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly the so-called great sages and philosophers who are at the mercy of material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the verdict of Krishna is the final and complete answer to all doubts, because he knows past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Mam tu Vedana Kashtana. Krishna and Krishna conscious devotees alone can know what is what. Text 40.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pritha, the transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil.
Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan. Having been asked these questions by Arjuna, the Lord answers, such a yogi has no laws of the happiness of Swarga in the material world or seeing Paramatma in the spiritual world. It is certain that eventually he will attain all of this. For one who begins this performance of yoga, which is the correct method for attaining the highest benefit, is not deprived of either material or spiritual benefits. Krishna addresses Arjuna as Tata to express affection because he regards him as his son. Tata means father. The father or senior addresses the junior son or pupil as Tata out of mercy. In India, we still see these expressions. In South India, we see it. I don't know, in other languages, in various South Indian languages, sometimes a mother addresses her own daughter as some, which literally means mother, even though it's the other way around, actually, out of affection. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay, this is important. So I want someone to read this loud. Bhaktivinoda.
The Lord said, O Partha, the practitioner of yoga does not need destruction in this life, that is, in the material world, or the next life, that is, in the spiritual world. One who has done the auspicious work of yoga does not meet an unfortunate end. The essential point of that is that humans are divided into two groups, followers of rules, Vidhi, and non-followers of the rules. The conduct of all those who just satisfy their senses and are not controlled by any rules are without rules like animals. Whether civilized or uncivilized, whether a fool or scholar, whether weak or strong, the conduct of non-follower of rules is always equivalent to that of animals. By their action, they have no possibility of attaining auspiciousness. Human followers of rules can be divided into three groups: karmis, jnanis, and devotees. The karmis are divided into sakam karmis and nishkam karmis. The sakam karmis seek out very temporary happiness, that is, desire impermanent happiness, that they attain swarga and progress in the world, but that happiness is all temporary. Thus, they never attain what is auspicious for the jiva. The attainment of eternal bliss after release from matter is the jiva's auspiciousness. In whatever section of scripture that attainment of eternal bliss is not explained, such sections are meaningless. When there is a goal of attaining bliss in karma kanda, it is called karma yoga. By that karma yoga, the heart becomes purified. After that, one attains jnana, and then jnana yoga, and finally bhakti yoga. When one accepts suffering while giving up personal happiness in sakam karma, the karmi is called tapasvi, performer of austerities. But all that austerity is no more than happiness of the senses and nothing else. By austerity, the demons enjoy their senses after attaining the result of their austerity. On surpassing the limit of sense satisfaction, the jiva easily attains karma yoga, which aims at auspiciousness. The dhyan yogi situated in karma yoga or the jnana yogi have superior auspiciousness. All the states that the jiva attains by sakam karma are attained in a better way by the ashtanga yoga. Ashtanga yogi.
Okay, so the basic idea is you have sakama karmis, nishkama karmis, jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas. Auspiciousness in Bhagavad Gita only refers to attainment, that which leads to liberation. Fast or slow, that is not the point. But it is aimed at liberation. Nishkama karma aims at liberation. Jnana also aims at liberation. Yoga also. Bhakti aims at something beyond liberation. That is also included. These are all auspicious activities. Anything lower than this is inauspicious. Inauspicious means something which you can get today and you will lose it. You will lose it naturally. That's what it means. That is why it's called inauspicious. You will lose it naturally. The happiness of Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, Bhagwan realization, the spiritual in nature, they are not under the, that experience cannot be hampered by the force of time. It is completely spiritual. Therefore, that is considered auspicious, whereas this is considered inauspicious. Prabhupada's good quote. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Narada Muni instructs Vyasadeva as follows. Chakva swadharmam charanambujam hare bhajanna pakvota patet tato yadi yatra kvavabhadram abhudamushyakim kovartha apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up all material prospects and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. For material prospects, there are many activities, both scriptural and customary. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness, one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed, but if one does not attain such a perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there need be no worries. Even though he may be subjected to the reaction for not perfectly executing prescribed duties, material prescribed duties, he is still not a loser, because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten. And once who engage will continue to be so, even if he is low-born in the next life, as a punishment for not having executed his material prescribed duties. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious results if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. So from Srimad Bhagavatam, we understand that the auspiciousness that we hear about coming from the Nishkama Karma system or the Jnana system or the Yoga system is all coming because of the Bhakti component within that. All these systems have the element of Vishnu Bhakti. Navavidha Vishnu Bhakti is part and parcel of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, everywhere it is there. And it's there in Bhakti Yoga also. That is the source of this auspiciousness. The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely the regulated and the non-regulated. Means those who follow rules, those who don't follow rules. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratifications, animalistic sense gratification, without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation, belong to the non-regulated section. And those who follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified amongst the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, they perpetually remain in material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injunctions and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. Those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections, namely the followers of scriptural rules and regulations for enjoying material prosperity, karma, karmis, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence, jnanis, and those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness, bhaktas. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures for material happiness may be further divided into two classes. Those who are fruitive workers, sakama karmis, and those who desire no fruit for sense gratification, nishkama karmis. Those who are after fruitive results for sense gratification, sakama karmis, may be elevated to a higher standard of life, even to the higher planets. But still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. So initially, Prabhupada is actually paraphrasing and clarifying Bhakti. So even though Prabhupada began by saying, those who follow scriptural rules are on the auspicious path, and those who don't follow the scriptural rules are on the inauspicious path. Now Prabhupada clarifies that there is an exception here. Those who are sakama karmis, they are also engaged in inauspicious activity. In other words, they are not truly following Shastra, because Shastra is meant to take you all the way to a particular goal. They have entered into it, but they are dropping out. They are not true followers. Therefore, they are not experiencing true auspiciousness. The only auspicious activities are those which lead one to liberation or higher. That is understood. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity. And anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. And because the Eightfold Yoga system is directed toward the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, such practice is also auspicious. So, to come to the point of Kevala Bhakti, in order to attain Prema Bhakti, whichever pathway you accept, Krishna accepts it as auspicious. And he will help you. Whether you're going through the straightforward pathway, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Karma Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti, that's a straightforward pathway. Or you're going through a longer pathway, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti. Or through the longest pathway, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Yoga, Yoga Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti. That is also acceptable to Lord Krishna. Just that it's slower. And such practice is also auspicious, and no one who is trying his best in this matter need fear degradation. So even that, none of these people are going to fall down. 41?
One question.
Okay.
And in longest path, if someone falls down, so someone in Jnana standard, Yoga standard, he will not fall, or he will fall down to Karmi or Vikarmi, he will not become.
We will see that. You will not fall naturally.
But in this path, shortcut, that this bhakti,
The straightforward pathway.
if they will fall down, they fall like anywhere, they will fall down. Because directly from karma to they are coming to bhakti. If they are falling down, it is just like one stage from.
That's all right, but whatever they have accomplished, they will resume from that point. Whichever pathway you may choose, the straightforward pathway or the longest pathway or the intermediate pathway, whatever you have accomplished, that's preserved. So let us say I have progressed from Bhakti Mishra Karma to Karma Mishra Bhakti. Okay, that is actually the second stage, which is very elevated, because if you are just steady in that one position, means in that very life you are going back to God. At the end of that life, you are going back to God. So you are just unsteady. The next life, you will again try to get back to that. That is your taste. You already achieved that taste now. So next lifetime, even if you are given something lower, you will not be a congregation. That's all. Not accepted. You say, no, there's something higher than there's something higher. Even though everybody comes and they say, no, this is you have to be practical. You can't believe these people. They say, no, it's Krishna. What is this, all these people? If Paramatma is taking care of me, why should I be bothered about Jivatmas? That realization, he achieved it in the past. So Krishna will keep pushing that. So that is there, whether slow or fast. Whatever you have accomplished, you will come back to that. You will resume from that very point. You will not lose anything. We'll proceed. We'll see. We'll see all that. 41.
Lokam Yuta Shastri Samaha Ruchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashta Abhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planet of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy.
This verse speaks of the fallen yogi's acquisition of material happiness, becoming lax in performance of his dharma. Because of material desires, he attains and enjoys those desirable objects. The words of those who offer Ashwamedha Yajna through the power of incomplete execution of yoga in the form of Nishkama duties of Swadharma, aiming at self-realization, staying on those planets many years, enjoying until his desire for enjoyment ceases. This is what is called satiation, until you are bored. That fallen yogi with no more material desires leaves those planets and is born in the house of a wealthy person who engages in dharma suitable for yoga practice by the power of his incomplete yoga practice from the past. This verse shows the result for the yogi who fell after practicing it for a very short time. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, how does he explain it? Those who fall, okay, please read.
Those who fall from Ashtanga Yoga are divided into two groups. Those who fall after practicing a short time, and those who fall after practicing a long time. Those who fall after short practice live a long time in Swarga, etc., which is attained by those performing Sakama Punyas, and then take birth in a house of a Brahmana, following proper conduct, or in a house of wealthy merchants.
See, this person, he was previously engaged in the first stage of bhakti, sinlessly, without offenses. And then he was trying to elevate himself to the next stage, whatever pathway, whatever next stage may be. Was not very successful. His next life, after he dies, he gets a result of performing exalted pious activities like Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha, to organize it takes 1 year. And you need to have a lot of money for that. And it's not a joke. Ashwamedha Yajna, you need to, is a very, very difficult. These are very difficult, complex fruitive activities, complex activities within the karma system. So the result for that is also very exalted. So this person, simply because he changed his motive, instead of just trying to go to somewhere in heavenly planets, he desired, let me attain self-realization, then God realization. He understood this. He understood this, and he was trying to aim at something higher. Somewhere along the line, he just became deviated. But nevertheless, he attains that result. So this is only for those who blew just like that. Just came out of the Krishna consciousness pathways very rapidly, not after a long period of time. Text 42. The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is fallen after very little progress, and one is fallen after a long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of a righteous Brahmana Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants. In his first canto, Prabhupada explains why the aristocratic merchants come. That is because he does not need to start worrying about how to get his yogakshema, how to get his basic necessities and all that. It's already a rich family now. So rich family, you're born means you're born. That's all. You have enough money for whole life. You don't need to earn money and all that. So you can just focus on his spiritual practice. So therefore that is given. But those who are even more fortunate, they are given birth in a righteous Brahman Vaishnava family. They're more spiritual type. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. 42.
अथवा योगिनां एव कुले भवति धीमता एताद्धि दुर्लभात् आतरं लोके जन्म यत् ईदृशम्. Or if unsuccessful after a long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendent bliss, who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world.
This verse describes the result of the yogi who fell after practicing a long time. He is born in a family of yoga teachers, in a family which practices yoga. He then praises these, Lord Krishna then praises these two types of birth in the second half of this verse. Etadhi durlabhataram loke janma yadidrisham. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. This applies to this verse, it also applies to the previous verse. Such a birth in a family suitable for yoga, as described in the previous verse, or in a family practicing yoga, as described in the current verse, because of the strength of impressions of previous yoga practice, is very rare for normal men. Or if he has practiced a long time, he will be born in the family of Jnana yogis. Know that a birth in such a pure family is more difficult to obtain. Since being born there, the jiva from the beginning easily progresses further due to superior association. I think to help you understand what it means, look at your, where is that list of 30 qualities? Just look at those 21 duties and imagine a family which is primarily engaged in those 21 duties. What would that family be? Imagine you're growing up in a family like that, where those 21 duties gets the major focus. You avoid all simple activities, offenses, and maybe carrying out the particular ashrama dharma, whatever. But those 21 duties becomes the prime focus in family life, and the child is experiencing that. Certainly, it is something special. Prabhupada, birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein, because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Just such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now degenerated due to insufficient education and training. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalist generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord. And both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. So when powerful personalities appear in this world, they often take birth in these kind of families. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is a Nitya Siddha. And Prabhupada is also a Nitya Siddha. Prabhupada himself he compared himself with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He's compared his own birth with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's birth. And elsewhere, Prabhupada notes that Prabhupada's own father, Sri Gauranga, he was a pure devotee of Krishna. You can see in the dedication to Krishna book. And we all know Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also a pure devotee of Krishna. So from that we understand that Prabhupada is also a Nitya Siddha, come from the spiritual world. These kind of Acharya families were there. In different lines, they were there. Now, of course, there's a tsunami of Tamoguna here. So nobody is bothered about it. But previously, they used to be very much bothered about this. Whom you are associating with, whom you get married to, a lot of restrictions. But it is very important to preserve the standard. Very important to preserve the standard. Okay, text 43.
Tatratan buddhisam yogam brahmate parvatetikam yatate chidato goya tapchidhautunandanam. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, a son of Guru.
The Lord then describes the sadhana caused by practice in his previous birth, in order later to speak about his attainment of spiritual happiness in a future life. In both types of birth, he attains the state of his previous birth. So the download resumes. And by his intelligence, he develops a connection with yoga, his own Atma and Paramatma. In other words, he reestablishes his spiritual abhyasa and vairagya, what he had taken up, the repetitive practice for spiritual realization, as well as renunciation, detachment, in order to realize himself and the Supreme Lord, whether simultaneously or sequentially, according to the particular pathway that he has chosen. He tries even harder to attain perfection in the form of seeing, of realizing himself and the Supreme Self with a pure heart, as if waking up from sleep, in order that he will not fall down again. So this time he thinks that I should not commit the same mistake that I committed in the past. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, O son of the Kurus, born in that situation, he attains the intelligence of his previous body. Thus, by natural taste, he makes efforts again for perfecting yoga. King Bharata, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharata was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharatavarsha. Formerly, it was known as Ilavratavarsha. The emperor at an early age retired for spiritual perfection but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana. That was an intermediate birth as a deer and was known as Jada Bharata, or you can say in his next human life, because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. He did not talk to anyone because he was frightened that again he may develop all this emotional attachment. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Rahugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Krishna Chaitanya Thakur also says, even for initiated Vaishnavas, in general, they get 2 or 3 lifetimes, unless one is sufficiently serious. That is one of the things to learn from that Jada Bharata episode. Because all these kind of things may happen. Get attracted to something. But if one is sufficiently strict, focused, then within one lifetime, you can nothing. Text 44.
By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an integrated transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scripture.
This verse explains the reason for his intense effort. Through his practice of yoga in the previous life, this yogi is attracted to yoga, even against his will, against opposition. So he is spontaneously attracted. Why is he spontaneously attracted? Because this is where he stopped. So again, he becomes attracted once again. He certainly indicates that the power of yoga is an accepted fact. Such a person is inquisitive about yoga. He's inclined to practice, and he surpasses the materialistic teachings of the Vedas. He does not have faith in those aspects of the teachings of the Vedas. We also know devotees, there are some who have definitely taken to Krishna consciousness in past life. Otherwise, they're simply not attracted, with karma kanda, this, that, all these things, not interested. Impulsively, not interested. Simply not interested. Even they themselves don't know why they're not interested. No, it's not. What is this? Some material thing. What is this? Because already with deliberation, they have given it up in the past. Same way with deliberation, they continue to give it up. Shabda Brahmati Vartate, by his nature, due to previous practice, the person inquisitive about yoga scriptures surpasses the path of sakama karma. That is, he attains a result superior to the results indicated on the path of sakama karma. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalist is explained as follows. Aho vadashva pachoto gariyam yad jikvagre vartate namatubham te pustapasti juhu sasnuragya brahma nujur nama vinanti yete. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of dog eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. I will read out this purport. It's important. It's very important. It's some Bhagavatam we are going to be looking at now. What is this? 3 point? Spoken by Devasati Devi. Oh, how glorious is a dog eater, therefore worshipable. And the tip of his tongue is your holy name. For your sake, they have practiced austerities. They have executed 5 sacrifices. They have taken bath in the sacred rivers. They are Aryans. They have studied the Vedas. They are the ones who are accepting your holy name now. Oh, how glorious are they, whose tongues are chanting your holy name? Even if born in the families of dog eaters, such persons are worshipable. Persons who chant the holy name of your Lordship must have executed all kinds of austerities and fire sacrifices and achieved all the good manners of the Aryans. To be chanting the holy name of your Lordship, they must have based at holy places of pilgrimage, studied the Vedas, and fulfilled everything required. As stated in the previous verse, a person who has once offenselessly chanted the holy name of God becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. One should not be astonished by the statement of Srimad Bhagavatam. One should not disbelieve or think, how by chanting the holy name of the Lord can one become a holy man, to be compared to the most elevated Brahmana? To eradicate such doubts in the minds of unbelievers, this verse affirms that the stage of chanting of the holy name of the Lord is not sudden, but that the chanters have already performed all kinds of Vedic rituals and sacrifices. It is not very astounding, for no one in this life can chant the holy name of the Lord unless he has passed all lower stages, such as performing the Vedic ritualistic sacrifices, studying the Vedas, and practicing good behavior like that of the Aryans. All this must first have been done. Just as a student in a law class is understood to have already graduated from general education, anyone who's engaged in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, must have already passed all lower stages. It is said that those who simply chant the holy name with the tip of the tongue are glorious. One does not even have to chant the holy name and understand the whole procedure, namely the offensive stage, offenseless stage, and pure stage. Namaparad stage, Namabha stage, Shuddha Nama stage. If the holy name is sounded on the tip of the tongue, that is also sufficient. It is said herein that Nama, a singular number, one name, Krishna or Rama, is sufficient. It is not that one has to chant all the holy names of the Lord. The holy names of the Lord are innumerable, and one does not have to chant all the names to prove that he has already undergone all the processes of Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. If one chants once only, it is to be understood that he has already passed all the examinations, not to speak of those who are chanting always 24 hours a day. It is specifically said here, Tubhyam, unto you only. That means for your sake only. One must chant God's name, not as the Mayavadi philosophers say, any name such as a demigod's name or the names of God's energies. Only the holy name of the Supreme Lord will be effective. Anyone who compares the holy name of the Supreme Lord to the names of the demigod is called Pashandi or an offender. I remember a few years back, there was one sannyasi. His name was Bhakti Rakshat Narayan Maharaj, the disciple of Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj, whose mutt is close by. He passed away from this world. So he once met me just next to Prabhupada's Bhajan Kuti. There is a Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust, and I was a secretary of Srila Jayapataka Swami Maharaj at that time. So that Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust, that trust was set up by Prabhupada, and it is meant to cooperate with his brothers and all that. So we were interacting with him for some service. So he knew me. So one day he saw me outside Prabhupada's Samadhi. So then he said, I'll tell you something. I have interacted with this person who you are all worshipping as Prabhupada. We call him Swami Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. So in short, we call him Swami Maharaj. So he said, at that time I was a brahmachari. My name was Krishna Ranjan Brahmachari. I knew him, he also knew me. So one day I came, and throughout the Gaudiya month, there was a common talk that whatever it is, all these foreigners who are coming here, you should not eat the food cooked by them. In their life, they have eaten so many things. You should not eat their food. Even now, in some Gaudiya months, they have all these prejudices. So he said, so I asked Swami Maharaj, everything you are doing is very nice. But how you are eating the food that they cook? They have eaten even cow flesh. Then Prabhupada said, no, but in Chaitanya Charitamrita it says, anyone who chants Krishna's holy names with sincerity, you should accept him. It's the conclusion of all the Shastri. So then he said, I was astonished to see he has so much faith in these teachings of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam. He absolutely doesn't have any discrimination. These people, whatever their backgrounds, he doesn't see. He's seeing them only now. Now you are like this, so now I'm happy. Previously, whatever you were, I don't care. Now you are like this, or now I'm. Another thing he said there's another one instruction he gave me. He said, Krishnaranjan, you are doing so many services. You are helping in preaching, you are helping in your ashram. So many different services you are doing. But you should keep in mind, those services will not give you spiritual perfection. They will help you, but they will not give you spiritual perfection. Spiritual perfection comes by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. All of that, it can give you a taste for increasing your chanting. It is by chanting that you will be delivered. The other activities can help you to do this activity which will deliver you. So don't think that those activities will deliver you. Those activities will help you get a taste for this. This is one activity that will deliver you. So Prabhupada was always clear about this. There was one disciple of Prabhupada, American, Hayagriva Prabhu. And when he went to Vrindavan, Prabhupada was there also. So one day he came to Prabhupada. He wrote a book describing his memories also. So he told Prabhupada, what is going to happen to all these different people here? He said, these Brajavasis, if they are sinless, they will not go back to God. He said, I saw one Babaji sitting and he's also smoking some marijuana or some something. He's taking some intoxication he's taking. But he's also chanting and he has renounced everything. He's got long hair. So what is going to happen to him? Prabhupada said, next life he'll be born as one of the hippies in New York and he'll come to Hare Krishna movement. So all these people, whatever they're doing, wherever they stop, at that point they will come back. And we are giving opportunity to help all these people. So we should not think that, I remember in South India, some of the devotees, they used to ask me, so you speak to foreign devotees also? Are you crazy fellow? What is this foreign devotee also? What is this? Once you become a devotee, you're a devotee now. As if modern India is so great. They're all eating non-vegetarian food now. Previously, the reason that they were critical of other people is because they're eating meat. They were all considered meat eaters. But India is the greatest exporter of beef and all that. So what now? It's not because of color and all you had a problem with them. You had a problem with their eating. Now meat eating is normal. No, meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling is all celebrated in India. So there is no reason now these are our own Deshi lectures we have. Our own homegrown Indian lectures. Lecture is not some racist. What they're doing. So we should be careful about. We don't know who's who. We don't know who's who. Somebody may be a big sannyasi. I remember there was one Mataji. She said, last life I was a sannyasi under Bhakti Saraswati. In this life also, she's like a sannyasi. I know her for several years. Very peacefully, she would sit and she would be just chanting. That's all. Now, what is your soul? Well, you get money. That's not my business. That's Krishna's business. I should just do what I'm supposed to do. Krishna will do what he's supposed to do. That's all. Absolutely fixed. One day she said, last time I was a sannyasi. So it's not the first time I'm going through this. All this happens. Okay. So the holy name has to be chanted to please the Supreme Lord and not for any sense gratification or professional purpose. If this pure mentality is there, then even though a person is born of a low family such as dog eaters, is so glorious that not only has he purified himself, but he's quite competent to deliver others. He's competent to speak on the importance of the transcendental name, just as Thakur Haridas did. He was apparently born in a family of Mohammedans, but because he was chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord offenselessly, Lord Chaitanya empowered him to become the authority or acharya of spreading the name. See, offenseless chanting gives you the adhikar for spreading the holy name. It does not matter that he was born in a family which was not following the Vedic rules and regulations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Advaita Prabhu accepted him as an authority because he was offenselessly chanting the names of the Lord. Authorities like Advaita Prabhu and Lord Chaitanya immediately accepted that he had already performed all kinds of austerities, studied the Vedas, and performed all sacrifices. That is automatically understood. So, in that very life, he is recognized. So, previously, that means they have performed all kinds of sacrifices. They have traveled to all holy places of pilgrimage. They have taken part in purificatory activities. They have taken bath in holy rivers. They are called Aryas because they have finished all these requirements. So, they are qualified. They are civilized. Any devotee who is chanting the holy name of the Lord is the best kind of Aryan. Unless one studies the Vedas, one cannot become an Aryan, but it is automatically understood that the chanters have already studied all the Vedic literature. So they have already completed all these recommended acts. So these are the persons who become fixed in offenseless chanting of the holy names. So we have to be careful about whom we are dealing with. Here also Prabhupada gives the example of Brahmacharya Haridas Thakur. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas known as Shabda Brahma. Unless therefore one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. Text 45.
And when the yogi engages in the sincere endeavor to make further progress, we walk up all the non-existence. Then ultimately, achieving perfection after many births of practice, we attain the supreme goal.
This verse explains the future spiritual happiness he attains. He makes even more effort in this life than in his last life, out of fear of his previous obstacles. By this additional effort, he purifies himself of all material desires. From achieving a mature stage of yoga, after many births, he attains liberation characterized by self-realization and God realization. Now here, Krishna Chakravarti Thakur has remarked something that I like. Notice the word tu. Prayatna yataman as tu. Now tu, here translated as and, also has a sense of but or on the other hand. Okay. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur has a point to make for that. He says that up to the previous verse, Krishna's discussion about unsuccessful transcendentalists came about. And now, it is pointed out that he attains perfection. Now he has become a normal practitioner. Now he's engaged in the normal practice because he has already revived from where he stopped and he's going on in the normal pathway. But then, sopi naikena janmana siddhyati tyaha. He attains perfection, but not in one lifetime. And then he gives evidence from a statement of Kardama Muni. Here. Third canto, 3.24.28. Bahu Janma Vipakvena. Samyak yoga samadhina drashtum yatante yatayah shunyagareshu yatpadam. After many births, mature yogis, by complete trance in yoga, endeavor in secluded places to see the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada's purport. Some important things are mentioned here about yoga. The word Bahu Janma Vipakvena means after many births of mature yoga practice. Notice this? Many births of mature yoga practice. Even if you engage in mature yoga practice, you don't fall, you don't deviate. It takes many births. And another word, Samyak Yoga Samadhina, means by complete practice of the yoga system. Samyak means complete. Complete practice of yoga means Bhakti Yoga. That means he has come to the point of Bhakti, finally. Unless one comes to the point of Bhakti Yoga or surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's yoga practice is not complete. This same point is corroborated in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. After many births, the Jnani, who has matured in transcendental knowledge, surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bharata Muni repeats the same statement. After many years and many births of complete practice of yoga, one can see the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord in a secluded place. It is not that after one practices some sitting postures, he immediately becomes perfect. One has to perform yoga a long time, many births to become mature. And a yogi has to practice in a secluded place. One cannot practice yoga in a city or in a public park and declare that he has become God simply by some exchange of dollars. This is all bogus propaganda. Those who are actually yogis practice in a secluded place. And after many births, they become successful, provided they surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the completion of yoga. So based on this, Vishwanath Chakravarti points out that even after one comes to the point, it takes many births. Even here in the current verse also you see. Then ultimately achieving perfection after many births of practice, he attains the Supreme Perfection. Aneka Janma Samsiddha, having attained perfection after many births. So this verse is not really talking about the fallen, unsuccessful transcendental. Now he's normal. He's come back to the regular pathway. And the regular pathway itself takes many lifetimes. Samshuddha Kilbisha, Samyak Paripakka Kashaya. He has come to the complete mature platform. So be Naikena Janmana Siddhyati Tisa. This person, he attains perfection, but not through one lifetime, through many lifetimes. Param Gatim Moksham. He attains the highest goal of liberation. That yogi, practicing with full effort, matures his yoga and becoming purified of all faults. Becoming free of sin, finally after practicing for many births, the yogi attains liberation in the form of the highest goal. This is the yogi's result beyond this world. A person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, he therefore begins his unfinished task. And thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he's finally free of all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness, pure bhakti. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed of all contaminations. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. After many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed of all contaminations and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. 46.
A yogi is greater than Nagati, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the good worker. Therefore, what in all circumstances we are yogi.
Nishkama Karma Yoga, which contains within it spiritual realization and which culminates in Ashtanga Yoga, is the cause of liberation. It finally brings a result for the yogi who has fallen from the path. Having indicated this, the present verse praises this yogi. I consider this yogi who practices the yoga described by me to be superior to those dedicated to mere austerities. To those who are knowledgeable of the scriptures dealing with artha, and to followers of karma who perform pious acts and sacrifice with personal desire. Because he has attained liberation through the appearance of self-realization, the yogi I have described is superior to the performers of mere austerity, the scholarly persons and the karmis who have not attained liberation because they lack self-realization. On examining nicely, it is seen that greater than the tapasvi, who engages in sakama karma, is the karma yogi. Better than the jnana yogi is the ashtanga yogi. Better than the sakama karmi is the ashtanga yogi. It's the yogi, or you can simply say yogi. Tapasya, jnana, and karma are useless without yoga. Therefore, Arjuna, be a yogi. Can someone read out this purport?
When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness to the supreme or common truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called Bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga, or Krishna consciousness, is the ultimate perfection of all yoga, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to Supreme Lord is also imperfect, and fruity works without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti yoga, and is listed more clearly explained in the next verse.
You'll notice that when the linking process is predominantly in karma, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly in jnana, it's called jnana yoga. When it is predominantly in bhakti, it is called bhakti yoga. Okay, let's move on. 47.
Yoginamati sarvesham katunam tadātman tadādāṁ bhagavadrūnam samyuktatam. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders confident and loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion.
Thus, in the first 6 chapters, the Lord has explained the process of Nishkama karma, which contains within it spiritual knowledge and which culminates in Ashtanga yoga. All this is to be practiced by this Swanishta devotee. In the middle 6 chapters, he will explain the processes, such as surrender to Bhagavan, which are the principal sadhanas for the Parinishthita devotee. In this verse, he introduces this idea in the form of a sutra by announcing the superiority of this devotee to all others. In other words, the Parinishthita practitioner is superior to other practitioners. One minute. Look at this. Check something. The other video also. Parinishthita, okay. Parinishthita and the Nirapeksha devotees. Okay. Though there is superiority and inferiority in that group of different types of yogis, they are all inferior and therefore equal. The devotee is like a golden mountain while others are just high and low mountains. The meaning is therefore, he who worships me, I consider to be better than the yogis. As well as yogis meaning Nishkama Karma yogis, Jnana yogis, Ashtanga yogis, as well as all these Sakama Karma, Tapasvis, materialistic, learned people, materialistic karmis, and so on. He who has firm faith in the words of Shruti, which indicate devotion to me, whose mind is completely attached to me alone, indicating that he cannot tolerate separation from me for even a fraction of a second, serves me through the devotional processes such as hearing, that means Shravanam, Kirtanam, and so on. He serves me, that form which has the complexion of a blue lotus, with solid arms reaching to the knees, with lotus eyes opened by the hands of the sun. It means with eyes that are like lotuses that blossom under the sun, with cloth shining like lightning, that form brilliant with forest garland, crown, earrings, bracelets, armlets, necklaces, kaustubha jewel, and anklets, that form which destroys darkness in all directions with its effulgence. He serves me, the Swayam Bhagavan, the Lord of all beings, possessing eternal forms such as Nisimha and Rama. He serves the Supreme Lord in human-like form, full of knowledge and bliss, who drinks milk from the breast of Yashoda, and who is addressed by such names as Krishna. He serves that form, filled with jewel-like qualities of beauty, sweetness, and charm, filled with all varieties of rasas such as Vatsalya, which subjugate even omniscience, omnipotence, and my ability to fulfill my desires. Those devotees, the Parinishtitas and the Nirapekshas, who are dedicated only to me, are considered to be most intimately connected to me. The Tapasvis and others are connected to me. The Nishkama Karmi is more connected to me, but the unalloyed devotee is most connected to me. Yukta, Yuktatara, Yuktatama, Yuktatama. Yuktatama Mata. Unalloyed devotee is most connected with me, the Lord of all beings, who can see all things at a distance. Okay, another meaning of this verse. But there is no one superior to the yogi. This verse is spoken in order to refute the idea that there is no one superior to the yogi. From comparing the successive yogis, karma yogis are plentiful. Among all of them, he who has attained the level of meditation, jnana, is considered proper, yukta. We already saw. Yukta ityuchyate tada. Yukta. He who attains the stage of samadhi is better, yukta tara, better. But he who has devotion expressed in hearing, chanting, and other processes is the best, yukta tama. The word bhakti indicates service. Bhaja ityesha vaidhatu sevayam parikirtita. Tasmat seva budhay prokta bhakti shabdena bhuyasi. Since the root bhaj indicates service, the intelligent say that the word bhakti means service. The Shruti also explains about this bhakti. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yoga davehi. One avaiti. One brings the Lord close to himself by faith, bhakti, and meditation. Yasya deve parabhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasya ite kathita hyartha prakashanti mahatmana. One should have as much bhakti, actually parabhakti, transcendental bhakti to one's guru as one has for the Lord. The recited subjects of the Vedas are revealed to that great person. Gopal Thakur, that was from Shvetashvatara Upanishad. Another instance of bhakti in the Shruti. Bhakti rasya bhajanam tat ihamutro padhi nairasyena mushmin manah kalpanam etadeva naishkarya. Bhakti is worship of the Lord by concentrating the mind on Him, by renouncing all material desires for enjoyment in this world and the next. It alone does not accrue karmic reactions. Atmanam eva lokam upasita. One should serve only the Supreme Atma, who is seen by the devotees. Atma va are drashtavya shotavya mantavya nididhyasatavya maitreyi. O Maitreyi, this Lord, the Supreme Atma, should be seen, heard about, contemplated, and be made the object of intense meditation. It should be understood that this bhakti arises from the Lord's personal potency. Vijnana Ghanananda Ghana Sachidanandaika Rase Bhakti Yogi Tishpati Gopal Tapani Upanishad. That form filled with spiritual knowledge and bliss is present in Bhakti Yoga, which is also filled with eternity knowledge and bliss. In other words, that form is revealed when you execute the process of Bhakti Yoga. Thus, the service of hearing and chanting within Bhakti will certainly reveal the face and beautiful locks of hair, as well as other features of the Lord of all beings, who is the very form of knowledge and bliss. However, the knowledge and bliss within the various forms of bhakti, such as hearing and chanting, will be realized gradually, just as the sweetness of sugar candy can be experienced by continually eating it, as it destroys jaundice. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Somebody please read Bhaktivinoda.
The yogi who practices Bhakti Yoga is superior to all yogis. Person who worships me with faith is superior among all yogis. Among humans following rules, the Sakama Karmis are not called yogis. Nishkam Karmis, Jnanis, Ashtang yogis, and practitioners of Bhakti Yoga are all yogis. Actually, yoga is one only and not two. Yoga is a special path with steps. Taking shelter of this path, the jiva trends on the path towards Brahman. The first step is Nishkam Karma Yoga, combining this with Jnana and Vairagya, detachment. It becomes Jnana Yoga as the second step. When this is combined with the meditation of Ishvara, it becomes the third step in the form of Ashtanga Yoga. When this is combined with the affection for the Lord, it becomes the fourth step, Bhakti Yoga. Combining all these steps, it becomes a huge staircase. It is called yoga. In clearly explaining this yoga, all the divisions of yoga have been described. Those who aim for eternal auspiciousness take support of yoga alone, but progressing through each step after first attaining steadiness in each step. Finally, one gives up the 10th step. One must give it up in order to progress to the next higher step. The person who stops at one particular step, his yoga is not complete. Thus, whatever step one becomes fixed in, that partial form of yoga with a particular level in his support. Thus, some are known as Parima yogis, Jnana yogis, Ashtanga yogis, and Bhakti yogis. So far, he who performs Bhakti to me as the final goal is better than the other three types of yogis. Be this type of yogi, the Bhakti yogi. In the 6th chapter, the final part of Nishkam Karma Yoga is discussed. At the time of ascending in Nishkam Karma Yoga, this yoga is predominated by karma. After having ascended, it produces a result in the form of samadhi on the supreme tattva by Ashtanga Yoga on the path of jnana, which has been form of seeing Atma. Accepting material objects in a yukta way gradually increases meditation on Paramatma. The mind withdraws from those objects, rejecting the secondary results of Sarupa Siddhi and yogic powers. One manifests spiritual happiness in the form of contact with the Brahman. This is the final result of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Those who fall before this yoga become complete. That is, those who become attracted to the other objects or those who die attain the described results of yoga on many births. Their previous acts are not in vain. Thus, austerity on the path of Sakam, Sankhya in the forms of scriptural knowledge of 24 tattvas and Sakama Karma are insignificant. When one binds up these three tendencies by the chains of desire to see Atma, one develops Nishkam Karma Yoga devoid of desire for those insignificant results. This yoga is superior to those methods. This yoga in different situation takes three different forms. At the state of desiring elevation, it is karma yoga. At the state of having attained elevation, it is jnana yoga. At its final stage, it is bhakti yoga. In the chapter last verse, one other type of bhakti yoga is described. Tavat karmani purvita na nirvidyet yavata mat katha stavanado vashtartha yavan na jayate. One should perform one's daily and periodic rites, nitya nimitti karmas, as long as one does not become detached from them or has not awakened his faith in the hearing topics about me. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.9. According to this statement from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, it is determined that when a person develops faith in the topic of the Lord, a second type of Bhakti Yoga arises. While doing karma, when one becomes indifferent to the result, the first type of Bhakti Yoga appears. The second type of Bhakti Yoga is superior. The first type of Bhakti Yoga is called Bhakti Yoga, arising from indifference to matter, and the second type of Bhakti Yoga is called Bhakti Yoga, arising from faith. When that arises, both types of Bhakti Yoga take one form. Bhakti Yoga arising from faith is natural for the jiva. This will be explained in the middle 6 chapters.
In other words, track 2 and track 3, they both are based on faith and enthusiasm. That's one type of Bhakti Yoga. It's actually pure Bhakti Yoga. Pure from the start itself. Whereas the other pathway starts with impurity and then moves towards purity. And it goes through detachment, realization, which bring you to the point when you become indifferent to matter. Then only you come to the same point. So this has a different shape and this has a different shape, because here you start, intentionally you start with minimal bhakti. And then you develop it gradually. There's a whole process behind it. There is spiritual realization inside it. So you have faith. And then gradually it comes to yoga. By yoga, I'm talking about Ashtanga Yoga itself. You execute Ashtanga Yoga, and the entire process is repeated again, until you become refined and mature. Then one moves towards full bhakti. Gradually one comes to that point over many lifetimes. Here, in one shot, you just surrender unto the Supreme Lord and you move. So therefore, this is track 2 and 3. You will find some clear understanding of what he goes through from day 1. You will find it in the middle 6 chapters. And this last verse of the current chapter, it gives an understanding of where they start. This is the starting point, actually. The starting point for track 2 and 3 is this, that they have great faith, starting with that. Saddhavan, they have faith and enthusiasm. Their minds are always abiding in Krishna. They always think of Krishna within themselves. They always render transcendental loving service to Krishna. They're the ones most intimately united with Krishna in yoga. And they are the highest of all practitioners. That is Krishna's own conclusion. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's explanation involves some slight different translations, but however, he is pointing out Karmi, Tapasvi, Jnani, Cha, Yogi, Mataha. He says the Karmi, the Tapasvi, the Jnani, all of them can be considered to be yogis. Ashtanga Yogi, Yogitara. And the Ashtanga Yogi is considered better yogi. Shavana Kirtanadi Bhaktivamstu Yogitama. But that practitioner who is absorbed in hearing, chanting, and other forms of bhakti, he should be accepted as the highest form of a yogi. Yuktatama. Isn't that expression used here? Yuktatama Mata. Yeah. Yuktatama, the greatest yogi. Is considered the greatest yogi. Yaduktam Shri Bhagavate, as stated in Shri Bhagavatam, Mukkanavapi Siddhanam Narayana Parayana Sudurlava Prashantatma Kotishwapi Mahamune. Amongst those who have attained liberation and who have attained spiritual perfection, one who is exclusively absorbed in thoughts of Lord Narayana is extremely rare. He is the peaceful soul. He is a peaceful soul amongst millions of liberated and perfected souls. And then Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan concludes. Where does this conclude? Where is this? Gita Katha Sutram Mavochadadye Karmad Vidiyadishu Kamashunyam Tat Panchame Vedana Garbhamakyan Shashte Tu Yogot Jwalitam Mukundaha. The first chapter summarized the story surrounding the Gita. In the second, third, and fourth chapters, Mukunda spoke of Nishkama Karma Yoga, without desire for results. In the second chapter, he spoke about the entire teachings of the Gita in the form of a sutra. In the fifth chapter, he explained how Nishkama Karma Yoga contains within it Jnana. In the sixth chapter, Mukunda spoke of the illuminating nature of Ashtanga Yoga. Okay, now we come to Prabhupada's purport. The word bhajate is significant. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaj. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous. But one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. Ya esham purusham sakshat atma prabhavameshwaram na bhajantyava jananti sthanat vrashta patantyatha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti, okay, now, you see this, in this verse, meaning in this Bhagavatam verse, na bhajanti avajananti, second line, na bhajanti. So that word bhajanti also comes from the same root as bhajante. In this verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti ma mudha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of God and Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The basic idea is this: bhaj refers to service that cannot be avoided. Whereas worship, you may avoid serving the person, but you cannot avoid serving because service itself is the eternal, it is the position of dependency which causes everyone to serve. I cannot avoid service. If I don't serve Krishna, I have to serve Maya. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions toward the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Full self-realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the Super Soul by different physical processes, and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, or Jnana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. But if you do stick to the process, then you are considered a Bhakta. If I am aiming to go towards complete Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti, right now I may be in the Karma Yoga stage, but I am still considered a Bhakta because that is my goal and that's what I am trying to come to. But one who has no such desire, he only wants to go to a particular level and just be there and experience the other side benefits out of it. He is given that level. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga, just as when we speak of Himalaya, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. Suppose somebody says, I'm going to the Himalaya, someone else says, I'm going to Mount Everest. The one who is going to Mount Everest is also going to the Himalayas. Similarly, when somebody says, if a person says, I'm interested in yoga, another person says, I'm interested in Bhakti. Bhakti is the highest, it's the peak of the entire yoga system. It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shyamasundar, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating on all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. He incarnates in different forms such as Raman, Nisimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descends like a human being as a son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is a perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. So when Lord Krishna says here that Madgatena Antaratmana, he is abiding in me, always thinking of me, within himself. How exactly he thinks of him? This is how he thinks. This is just a summary of the scriptural description of Krishna. So he thinks of Krishna in accordance with scripture. He's not thinking on he doesn't say that my Krishna is purple. There are some people who are like that. Not like that. It's exactly according to Shastri. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by Bhakti Yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Yasyadeve parabhaktari yathadeve tathaguro tasyaite katitahi artha prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. If you look at this verse also, Yasya Deve Parabhakti. Parabhakti. We will come across Parabhakti. Brahma Bhuta Prasanna Atma Nashochati Nakachi. Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. Parabhakti. So that person who executes Parabhakti towards a bona fide Guru, the way he executes Parabhakti towards the Supreme Lord. So if he is not interested in pure devotional service, then Vedic knowledge, the conclusion of Vedic knowledge will not be manifested into his heart. So this is talking of somebody who wants to execute pure devotional service to Krishna. Bhakti rasya bhajanam tanti hamutro padhin naira svena mushmin manah kalparana. Etadeva naishkarana. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naishkaranya. These are some of the means for performance of Bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfection stage of the yoga system. Okay. Not difficult to follow. Okay, anything else? Okay, so we'll stop with that. Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasamribhye Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo.